Hey, soldiers, it looks like some FTX customers are actually getting access to their funds. We're going to get into it. Listen, if you have not enlisted in this army and become a soldier of finance, it's easy. Hit subscribe. You don't need to see a recruiter. You don't need to take any, test or anything like that to find out whether or not you're worthy. You can just hit subscribe and boom, you are instantly a soldier of finance. So go ahead and do that so we can welcome you, soldier. All right. So yes, it is true that there are some FTX customers that are getting access to their money. And the way they're doing this is actually very, very instructive. We're going to find out how this is happening. And it probably, some may argue that this is going to be the key to strengthening the crypto industry in America as we move forward. I got a question for you. I'll ask it in a minute. The Japanese subsidiary of the bankrupt cryptocurrency exchange FTX said it started allowing customers to withdraw their assets on Tuesday. That was yesterday for me, the 21st of February. This is a relatively quick reboot that Tokyo regulators see as the fruit of their strict crypto laws. So here's the question. Japan has strict cryptocurrency regulation, and it has resulted in these people who had money with FTX Japan being able to get access to their money. So is this the key? Do you think that we should have tighter regulation on crypto here in America? Or do you think that American regulation is just a way to kill the industry? Sound off in the comments and let me know what you think. Now, the situation in Japan contrasts with the U.S. and other countries, where most FTX customers are a long way from getting access to their assets more than 3 months after the exchange's U.S. bankruptcy filing. We all know John J. Ray is dealing with FTX, trying to get these customers and creditors, all these guys made whole to the extent possible. It's got a tough road to hoe because here's the other thing. Legal fees are also now in the mix. So that's something that wouldn't have been out there, and you wouldn't have to pay John J. Ray in this army of bankruptcy attorneys. So that's definitely going to be a drag on what these people are able to recover ultimately. Japan, which was burned by the collapse of the early cryptocurrency exchange Mt. Gox in 2014 and a later hacking case, introduced laws requiring exchanges to register with authorities and mandating that they keep their customers' money separate from their own accounts. Now, there's a way that there's a piece of this legislation that they passed that I actually really like. And I think that the crypto fans in this country may want to seriously think about pushing for this because it helps them. We'll get to that in a minute. So that legislation, of course, it paved the way for FTX Japan on Tuesday, the 21st of February, 2023, to restore customers access to their accounts. Quote, Japan's investor protections prove to be working appropriately compared with other countries, unquote, said a report in December by Japan's Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry. While some FTX customers reported they got their assets back, others said they ran into snags the first day getting their money or cryptocurrency back. Listen, if they ultimately got it back, then, that's good. If I run into a few snags while people across the globe have nothing, then, hey, I'm willing to deal with the snags, right? It wasn't immediately known how many customers would be made whole. FTX Japan's chief operating officer, Seth Melamed, said people with verified FTX Japan accounts were eligible to initiate withdrawals after following certain procedures. But he said some Japan residents used other FTX platforms and couldn't be helped by FTX Japan. Now let's pause for a second. FTX Japan, this company was all over the world. This guy, Sam Bankman-Fried, was so freaking successful. He did not have to do what he did, but seems like he was addicted to the high life. All right. Remember, okay, now this is not an indictment on all people that are 30 or younger, but remember, this guy's major deficit was experience, okay? And it seems like he wasn't too high on humility either. He wanted to live the high life, but I'm like, man, you got these little FTX enterprises all around the globe. Come on, did you really have to rip people off? Seems like you were doing quite well. FTX Japan also said some customers were experiencing delays owing to security and risk controls. It said fiat and cryptocurrency with values of 2.7 billion yen, which is equivalent to 20 million US dollars, was withdrawn in the first 9 hours after the service was resumed. Because you daggone right, if I'm reading all this news and I know we got folk in Japan that are subscribed to the channel and they're watching me drop these Sam Bankman-Fried videos and they're like, whew, I can't wait to be able to get access to my money. I'm going to take it all. And $20 million was withdrawn in the first 9 hours. All right. So they're headed for the exits. FTX Japan said that as of Monday, it held some $15.9 million and 4.3 billion yen, equivalent to about $32 million in customers' cash as well as customer holdings of more than a dozen cryptocurrencies. Okay, so all told, they're saying they got 32 million available. It said it held 3,992.67 in Bitcoin. So it's got 4,000 Bitcoins, which would be worth about $99 million at the current rate. But look, if they keep bleeding money like at the pace of $20 million and every 9 hours, and that doesn't bode well for their continued ongoing sustainability. On November 10th, Japanese regulators ordered FTX Japan to suspend operations and hold customers' assets in the country. The next day, FTX filed for bankruptcy in the United States, and former chief executive, the villain of the story, Sam Bankman-Fried, the alleged villain of the story, was charged with fraud in December. And, the fraud charges are charges. They are not convictions. He is alleged to have done these things. Prosecutors allege that Mr. Bankman-Fried took FTX.com customers' money to pay the expenses and debts of Alameda Research, an affiliated trading firm. He has pleaded not guilty, as we all know. All right, now what exactly did Japan do? There's one very attractive piece of, to me at least, to their legislation that seeks to protect these people who are depositing, especially retail clients who are out there working for this money. And they're not big hedge funds. And they don't have the wherewithal to lose their money, Let's see. Some crypto proponents think that regulation along Japanese lines could raise cost and is not necessary so long as customers understand the risk. Well, to that I would say Sam Bankman-Fried himself has, said that there was a terms of service that people signed and there was some ambiguity there as to whether or not what they signed was what the company adhered to, okay? So you can't expect customers to understand risk if a company is going to go out and act contrary to its own terms of service, all right? So, that makes an argument for regulation. It is not free to follow regulations, said Noritaka Okabe, chief executive of Japanese cryptocurrency company JPYC. Mr. Okabe goes on to say operators need to pass the cost on to their clients. Okay? And look, he's being flat out honest about it. That's how it works in the real world. Mr. Okabe's company issues yen-pegged stablecoins, a cryptocurrency that seeks to mirror the value of, in this case, the Japanese government-issued currency. In Japan, which was once a leading crypto market, big hacking cases resulted in a regulatory crackdown. Mt. Gox, once the world's largest Bitcoin exchange, collapsed in 2014 after losing 850,000 Bitcoins, then valued at $470 million. Now, here is, we're coming up to that part that I really love. In 2018, Coincheck Inc. lost customer assets worth more than $500 million in the largest known crypto theft at the time. Today's laws in Japan say crypto exchange operators must hold at least 95% of customers' digital assets in a cold wallet, a storage place not connected to the internet. So that would solve the hacking problem, right? They also must entrust client holdings of government-issued currencies, such as the yen or the dollar, to a third-party Japanese institution such as a trust or bank. Now, we know the banks over here in America, they will love the sound of that. You can look for them to advocate for a similar arrangement here. Those protections made it easier for FTX Japan to restart business Tuesday. But the first day did not go smoothly. A Japanese man in his 30s who works as an engineer said he had an account at FTX that held yen, Bitcoin, and other cryptocurrencies, including FTT, which was the FTX issued token. He said he got an error message Tuesday referring vaguely to restrictions on withdrawing assets and was stuck on a company helpline trying to figure it out. The man said he had assumed the company was safe because he saw baseball star Shohei Ohtani in FTX commercials and read that Mr. Bankman-Fried was a donor to President Biden's election campaign. So as far as this gentleman is concerned, this engineer, he proves P.T. Barnum's old adage, a sucker is born every minute. An official at the Ministry of Finance that oversees FTX Japan said it believed the company had enough funds to make all of its customers whole. An official at the Financial Services Agency, another part of the ministry, said he didn't know the cause of the issues Tuesday. Now, what does Sam Bankman-Fried have to say about this? Because we know he's got something to say, right? Well, to his credit, he is speaking through a spokesman. Mr. Bankman-Fried is, quote, pleased to see that the Japanese exchange is moving forward and continues to maintain that the U.S. entity can and should do the same as soon as possible. So he's still yapping just through the spokesperson at this time. But good news, Japan. I guess it's better news than what you had last week. At least you can try to get a lot of your money back. And people are getting money back. You see that they did have a tremendous amount of withdrawals in 9 hours. So I don't know how long FTX Japan is going to be in business because they're not going to have any money left. Now, guys, check out this report. And look, I want to say this really quickly. We do a lot of different types of reporting here, not just FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried. This report, for example, Amazon employees are furious over its new policy, the company's new policy. Now, I want you to watch that report and tell me, are these just a bunch of entitled brats or are they justified in their anger? Guys, I will talk to you soon.